closing time.
Good day, awesome YouTubers. It's Lyman16 once again, and I'm back for another video. And in this video, I wanted to discuss something that has been going on for quite a while now. It is a highly talked about debate in the Dragon Ball community, and that is Dragon Ball Super, the new series, versus Dragon Ball GT or Dragon Ball Grand Tour. Now, guys, I know that many other YouTubers have created videos like these, but I wanted to get my thoughts, specifically on the two movie rehashes in Dragon Ball Super compared to the Dragon Ball GT series as a whole, since it only has 64 episodes. Now, guys, I won't be doing Universe 6 Saga or, Shampa's arc, because obviously we're still into that. As of this recording, we are at episode 33, so I will do a separate video on that. So, guys, I will be doing a scene by scene, practically a saga by saga comparison and review of both, and to see what I think about the two series so far. So, when talking about Dragon Ball GT, because obviously GT is the one that has finished first, so I will be talking about GT first. So, the first saga in Dragon Ball GT is obviously the Black Star Dragon saga. Now, when I thought about this saga, it pretty much went back to the old style of Dragon Ball, where it's more of an adventure kind of saga. Instead of action and fighting, it's pretty much almost an adventure with a lot of comedy. In this saga, I found it a little bit more cliche-like, but still nostalgic in that regard. There were decent fights in this arc, especially Goku versus Legic, even though very short. It was interesting, and I do feel like it was dragged on a little bit too long, especially when searching for every planets and some of the things regarding planets, like them having to go to other planets to help out other peoples and whatnot, and it was a nostalgic, but also felt dragged on, especially when it comes to in terms of sequences where characters had to basically squander around, goofing off, trying to find the Dragon Balls. But anyways, there were some very detrimental plot holes to this arc. I do feel that, especially the scenes where Goku, Pan, and Trunks, future Trunks, or Trunks in this timeline, where they were going to planets and basically had to be thieves. Pretty much, they had to be outcasts, and that didn't feel like Dragon Ball, especially not in this sense, because they're intergalactic aliens. They're Saiyans in the dub, and they're pretty much being hunted down, which is not not what you expect. Anyways, in this arc, it was very nostalgic, coming back to the old style of Dragon Ball, but I feel it was dragged on a little bit too much. Now, comparing that to the first saga in Dragon Ball Super, the Battle of Gods saga, the Battle of Gods saga was dragged out, 14 episodes for, what is an hour and 30 or so long movie. I can't, or excuse me, I believe it's a 90-minute movie. It was dragged out. Especially some episodes where basically they tried to do something with the plot and it didn't move along at all. Especially when it came to episodes like episode 4, P-Off and the gang. It didn't really accomplish much. It really did not accomplish much, and obviously there's a lot of filler material. Um, but that was pretty much it. The fillers go in terms of length. Otherwise, I felt that the Battle of Gods arc did add some interesting turns to it, although not very much compared to the Resurrection F saga. It did have some interesting turns, and I feel that overall the Dragon Ball Super Battle of Gods arc was good, especially the fight between Goku and Beerus was, I believe, more impactful, more a little bit more dynamic than in the movie. And I'd like to see. I would have personally liked to see, Goku and Beerus fight in these other terrains. But overall, I think the fight between Goku and Beerus, not the one on King Kai's planet, uh, Kaiosama, episode 5. I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the Super Saiyan God Goku versus Beerus. It was a good fight. It really was. Even though there was animation problems, and I won't get very much into that, especially going into, episode 14. But overall, good saga, but kept it a little bit too long. Uh, it was pretty much, what can you say, guys? It's a rehash. Now, one thing I wanted to say before I move on, I wanted to say that I did feel that the Super Saiyan God transformation was very much more dynamic, and I very much enjoyed it more in this saga compared to the other, compared to the movies. Now, in GT, obviously, the Black Star Shadow Dragon, excuse me, the Black Star saga did not have any transformations, so in all regards, Super did good there. So moving on, the next saga of Dragon Ball GT is where we have the Baby Saga, which obviously is the Sufurians or the Tuffos in the dub coming back for revenge. Now I did feel like this saga was a very good concept, especially because since it expands pretty much the lore of the Tuffos, which was not explained in Dragon Ball Z very much. Baby, I felt like that name. Now I'm not sure what the Japanese name for the original Japanese name for Baby is, but Baby was not a very good name. Baby as a villain. Baby as a villain was very generic. I will say, guys. Now I will say that most GT villains were very generic, except for a game to Nova Shenron. But anyways, going back to the Baby Saga, it had a good concepts, and especially it was good in the sense that how Baby tried to create his homeland again, plant, and pretty much the fight between Goku and Baby, Super Saiyan 4 Goku versus Baby, was a good fight. A lot of dynamic, a lot of shifts in terms of who's getting the upper hand. Obviously, Super Saiyan 4 got the upper hand when it comes to him transforming. I will say, guys, that the one thing before I go on, this because this saga does have a transformation, I will compare transformations. I did feel like Baby, in the Baby Saga, Super Saiyan 4, the transformation was a bit more. Obviously, it's a much more different transformation than the rest of the Super Saiyans. Now, comparing that to the Super Saiyan God transformation, I did feel that the God Ritual was a better transformation, even though it kind of really didn't make sense in some regards. Super Saiyan 4 made a little more sense because he was, transforming into a Great Osaru, and I like that concept. Overall, the design, Super Saiyan 4, I feel is a better design in terms of physique. And I do. That's not meaning I don't like Super Saiyan God. I like it a lot, especially the aura. It's a very peaceful transformation. Whereas Super Saiyan 4, it's a much more rage-like transformation. So, anyways, the Baby Saga in general, good concept, but didn't really execute it to the extent that I thought it would execute it to. But nonetheless, comparing that to the Battle of Gods arc, it's about even. I'd say it's about even. So now, guys, moving on to the Super 17 saga and the Dragon Ball GT, because obviously, as of now, there's not really another counterpart except for Universe 6 saga, but we're not finished with that saga. So I will be talking about Super 17 saga. So the Super 17 saga overall, I thought it was a pretty bad concept. I will not lie, guys. I felt that the Super 17 saga was kind of a bad, not very good concept, bringing 17 back. and then him fusing with Hellfire 17 to basically become extremely powerful, Super 17. Now comparing that to the Resurrection F saga in Dragon Ball Super, I mean obviously you have Frieza coming back and him becoming extremely powerful. The difference here, though, guys, is that Frieza had such a big impact on the series in terms of the setting it up for basically the beginning of Dragon Ball. Basically, if it wasn't for Frieza, obviously Goku wouldn't have been sent to Earth. Planet Vegeta wouldn't have been destroyed, and etc. etc. Super 17 was a pretty major villain in the Android saga, but overall, he's not really that important to the series. And I thought of some other villains would be better for that role, such as, Cell or someone other than obviously Frieza, because Frieza's came back a lot. But someone else coming back might have been a better concept. Overall, in this saga, the Super 17 saga, power wise, obviously, it's not really going to make sense, but of course, Frieza coming back and training made slightly more sense, I believe, because, Frieza is a mutant, born with a power level of, 120 million, obviously, never trained, and now he begins to train. Whereas 17, he pretty much fused with Hellfighter 17 and absorbed Goku's energy to become that much more powerful. So, overall, I think the Resurrection F saga, in terms of storyline, was better than the Super 17 saga. But obviously, the Super 17 saga had some good moments, even though I felt like it was all Goku time, of course, because GT Goku time, right? No, I'm just playing with you guys. But the Super 17 saga definitely used Goku to a pretty much their savior because everyone else, the Z Fighters, heck, even Vegeta, was pretty much being destroyed by 17. So, of course, Goku had to come save the day. Now, in terms of intellect for Goku in this saga, he did figure out that obviously 17 was stealing and absorbing his energy just like his old counterpart 19. But I feel like, and I think many other people feel this way, that they have the same, or excuse me, Goku pretty much took too long to notice the difference. Now, I'm not going to get very much into that, but that's how I feel about that. So, moving on, guys. In terms of the Resurrection F saga, that of course is the final saga, I felt like obviously the plot is slightly better than the 17 saga, even though Frieza returning after all these years. I mean, I guess it makes sense kind of because he's obviously a major important villain, and obviously Toei wants to mark out Frieza so that they can continue with the Universe 6 saga. So that's how I felt about that. Now, in terms of fighting goes, guys, I will admit that GT, for the most part, does have better fighting choreography and obviously better art and animation. So far in Super, there have been some episodes where it's been very good, but overall, I feel that it's a little bit lacking. Especially, it doesn't look like old Dragon Ball Z style, and I feel, well, obviously, Japanese animators do not get paid very much over in Japan, but I feel like many people tend to say that the older series have better art and animation, but what can you do about it, guys? What can you do about it, guys? I feel like the dynamic in some of the fights in Super, especially Goku versus Beerus, had a good tone, and I very much I enjoyed that fight more than some of the fights, uh, like 17 versus Goku and whatnot. It felt more impactful, especially episode 11. But that's how I feel about those fights so far. So now to move on to the final, pretty much final thoughts about this whole debate. Dragon Ball Super does have so far better character use. I feel that Piccolo training with Gohan in the Resurrection F saga was a good use of that characters, and obviously Piccolo's going to fight in the next episode, episode 34. Overall, guys, I have to say that they used the characters a little bit better in Super than in GT. There was a segment in GT where Goku and Krillin reminisce about their past, but that was only one scene, and we've had multiple scenes now with Krillin and 18 and pretty much the slice of life characters. Do enjoy those, and basically the upbringings of Pan and all those slice of life moments. I do enjoy more in Super than in GT. Overall, though, I do feel that so far Dragon Ball Super uh, has been good, but has been lacking at the same time. I feel that GT does have some much better concepts in some cases, and